Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to take a look at the Philips 3200. And the reason I got this machine is because it is one of the absolute most popular super automatic espresso machines on the market. Why is that? So let's just have a look at it. What do you get and what can it do? So to begin with, this machine has got options for espresso, coffee, Americano, and then it also has milk-based drinks. So you can do a cappuccino, a latte macchiato. You can also do hot water. It's got this little canister here. This is where you put the milk inside, and it just hangs right here onto the hot water spout. Very easy, very convenient, pretty easy to clean as well. The machine comes with a drip tray like this. I've already got some pucks in there as I've been testing the machine. It's not a ton of volume, but it's enough. You've got this water reservoir here. Normally it comes with one filter and you can buy filters to replace that first one. I don't have one in there currently. You can run it with or without. If you do run it without, I suggest using some kind of filtered water like Brita, for example. It does not have a top on top. The Delonghi models, for example, do. And at the end of this video, stay tuned because I will give my opinion of this machine versus the mid-range Magnifica Evo of Delonghi. Which one do I think is better? But let's have a look. How are the aesthetics of this machine? So the whole thing is plastic, but that's pretty much a normal thing for super automatics. So that side is plastic. The front, you can tell also, is mainly plastic. The fascia, plastic as well. The top is plastic. The drip tray cover, that's stainless steel on the other hand, so at least it's got that going for it. And here you can see on this side the water level in the machine, and that is what we are working with. I can also take a quick look at the brew group. What does the brew group look like? That is it right there. You can take that out. That's an advantage over some other machines, such as Euro machines. You cannot take out the brew group in those. So that's what that looks like right there. That should be cleaned and greased back up on a regular basis. So anyhow, that is the brew group. That's also, by the way, the same one that they use in, as far as I understand, Gaja machines. Put that guy back in there. Okay, so on the top, it's also got a grinder, which is adjusted by this knob here, and the grinder itself is actually a ceramic blade grinder. You can put pre-ground into this little slit here if you want, and that way you can try out different beans or put decaf in there. I do kind of suggest, however, if you're going to do that, to just give that a good wipe out afterwards to make sure that there's no ground stuck in there. They can get a little bit gross after time.
Getting value from this video? Please take a moment to like and subscribe.
But with all that being said, let's just go ahead and make an espresso, see what it looks like. I like to measure my espresso so I know how much I'm getting out. Let's give that a shot. Okay, so I have measured the pucks that this is able to make. I've ground on the top level here. Right now I'm set to a grind level of 3, and the maximum I can get out of this machine is about 8 grams. So with that being the case, if I stop this at 24 grams, then I'm getting about a 3-to-1 ratio, which is still a bit more than what you would get out of a different, like normal portafilter type espresso machine. So this is really giving you more of an Espresso Lungo. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so the machine is stopped already, and I'm getting right around 28, 30. It takes a little time to stop. I ended up getting about 32 grams out. So that is actually a 4-to-1 ratio, which is really an Espresso Lungo, if we're being honest. Let's give that a stir and a taste. You do still get crema, but I would call that quite a mild espresso. because the ratio is that large, 4:1. That is very, very mild, not very intense in flavor or in depth. But for some people, that's what they're looking for. They want something with a little bit less caffeine, a little bit less coffee taste. This would be, for example, probably a good machine for my mom. So let's go ahead and make a Caffe Crema once. Coffee? Yeah, okay. In the meantime, let's fill up our milk canister. All right, you can also stop the machine if you want. So there is our large Caffe Crema. That actually looks pretty good. You can see there is a fair amount of crema on there. It looks nice and hot. Pretty good. Again, a very mild flavor due to that ratio. Just being honest, but a pretty nicely balanced, mild coffee. Next, let's go ahead and make ourselves a cappuccino. All right, you're gonna see me kind of fumbling around here a little bit. That's just part of the video, and whoop, the lid fell in. That's unfortunate that it was designed that way that it can happen, so I just wanted to show you that. All right, cappuccino. Let's try it just like that. I'm gonna do the maximum intensity. I'm gonna do the lowest ratio possible for my espresso, and I'm gonna do a medium amount of foam. All right, here comes our espresso. There we go. All right. All right, so there's our cappuccino right there. I'd actually call that a latte macchiato if I'm being honest, because the espresso came after the milk. And I don't know if you can see that, but the milk is not 100% fine porous. It's somewhat fine porous. I would give that more of a medium. Let's mix it up a little and give it a taste. Not bad. Not a bad drink. Again, very mild. And the milk texture is, I would say, decent for a fully super automatic. Not the best that I've had. With all of that being said, what do I think about this machine and how does it compare to something in a similar price point? And that's what's really interesting for me. So this machine, I would say, makes very, very mild drinks. It's going to save you on beans because it doesn't grind all that much. It's only about a maximum of 8 grams per dose. It uses ceramic, like bean mashers. I kind of would prefer metal burrs inside. This canister does not have a cover on top. This reservoir, I should say. I would prefer for it to have a cover. That would just be a little bit nicer. The milk texture is decent. It's just okay, in my opinion. It could be better. And the espresso, as I mentioned before, for me, it's not intense enough. It's certainly more along the lines of something like a Nespresso capsule. Now, if you compare this machine to, for example, a Magnifica Evo from Delonghi, the Magnifica Evo has got a metal burr grinder inside. It makes slightly larger pucks. You can get about 10, 11, maybe even 12 gram pucks from the Magnifica Evo. So the espresso is a bit more intense, a fair amount more intense in my opinion. And also the milk foam is a bit better on the Magnifica Evo. So if I'm comparing these two models, certainly the Magnifica Evo wins for me, big time. But some people love Philips. Some people want a more mild coffee. Some people like this milk canister here and how easy it is to just put on there like that and how easy it is to clean. Some people like the aesthetics of the Philips. And I can't fault that for them. Fine machine. For me, I would certainly prefer a Delonghi Superautomatic over this one. Thanks very much for being with me for this video, for testing out the Philips 3200. I hope that you liked the video. And until next time, I say happy coffee drinking and happy espresso drinking. Bye now.